I'm Ruth Brown. I'm the AAUW of Michigan Public Policy Director, and I would like to welcome everybody to this Coffee and Conversations. I want to thank everybody for getting on with us this morning, and I would like to introduce the AAUW of Michigan Public Policy Committee. They're all on the call with us except for one person. So we have Jan Van Gasse. She is from the Iron Mountain Kingsford branch, and she's also on the National Public Policy Committee. We have Karlyn, she's the Marquette branch. Julie Leavitt is from the South Haven branch, and Pattie Rayl and I are both in the Jackson branch. And the other member of our committee who is not able to be with us this morning is Barb Rice. And she is in the same branch as Jan is, Iron Mountain, Kingsford. Also want to recognize this morning our state services manager for AAUW of Michigan, Leah Monger. She is a paid employee of AAUW of Michigan, and she does very good and works hard and does a lot of things for us to facilitate us. And I want to thank her for getting on with us this morning. And she's been helping us to get this organized, and she's the host this morning. So I want to recognize her and introduce her to you this morning as well. So with that, I'm going to introduce our first speaker, and keeping this in mind that this is a conversation. So if you have questions or comments, please feel free to put them in the chat, and we will answer your questions, and we will discuss the topics with you that you would like to discuss regarding public policy. But we do have some material prepared to talk about. And the first person is Pattie Rayl from the Jackson branch, and she's going to talk about the ERA.
Thank you so much, Ruth. All right, of course I did that. Yes, I can move. Okay. So I have a really quick, very fast overview of the Equal Rights Amendment. As you know, the Equal Rights Amendment was passed by both chambers of Congress in 1972 with overwhelming support, and it was ratified then. It stalled out for a little while, but it was ratified again, finally ratified as the 28th Amendment in January of 2020, when Virginia became the 38th and final state that was needed for the ratification. And it met the 3/4 of number of states for amendments, that threshold. It met that. And in the Equal Rights Amendment was the clause number 3 that said after 2 years, it will become enforceable as law after ratifications. And that happened on January 27th of 2020. Okay, then, so some people have gotten confused and wonder if the 28th Amendment is really real, but it is, because just because the archivist didn't publish it doesn't mean it means nothing really. It's just a hurdle that people are putting in its place for it to not be used and processed, and relied on. So the publication isn't required by the Constitution for amendments. Publication is just helpful to let the public know of the amendment. And that happened when President Biden made his declaration just before his term ended. And we should spread the word and let people know that the ERA is now the 28th Amendment. And the courts have also affirmed that whether or not an amendment is published does not affect its legal validity. And if we don't all get in the habit of saying that there is the 28th Amendment to the Constitution, it undermines the democratic process and ignores the will of the people in the U.S. The timing here, I'm sorry, did somebody have a question? The timing here is that so it became in force in January of 22, and in June of 23, an 18-year-old young man who just graduated school in California filed a complaint against the government saying that when he had to sign up for a selective service, which we call the draft, that he was discriminated against because women are also are not asked to sign up for the selective service. And his case was dismissed in district court by with the court saying that because it didn't get published, that it wasn't, that he can't claim to rely on the Equal Rights Amendment for his suit. And so then as soon as it was published by President Biden, then he brought his case back up and said that he appealed it to the district court, and the Ninth Circuit District in July of this year issued a decision that said that they found that his argument that the Equal Rights Amendment was ratified as a 28th Amendment didn't have merit. And that decision was just recently this week, or maybe just late last week, was published by the Ninth District or the Ninth Circuit Court. And so that means that other courts can now rely on that as precedent. And when all of this was happening in 23 and 24, there was a group called Equal Means Equal that got together and with some women in Massachusetts filed a lawsuit against the government, saying that the selective service discriminated against them because when they tried to sign up for it, they were rejected because they checked the box that says I'm a woman, I'm female, whatever it is on the form, and were immediately ejected out of the sign up. And so they have a lawsuit that is in Massachusetts federal court, and that's going to be heard on December 16th. And their argument is that the Equal Rights Amendment is valid because the Constitution, when it says how you can amend it, it doesn't say anything about deadlines or publishing or anything of that nature. It just says you have to have Congress act, you have to have the states vote, and once all that happens, you get that 3/4 mark, then it's ratified. So look for more information about the suit in December, and that's filed by the group called Equal Means Equal. And that's what I have.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much, Pattie. Are there any questions or comments about the ERA? I have a question, Pattie.
Yes.
What can we do? We talked about petitions. You said something about signforera.org and
yes.
Go ahead and talk about that, please.
So some folks think that Congress needs to step in again, but they don't. Their process is over. But what they can do is pass legislation that says that we agree that the Equal Rights Amendment is ratified, just kind of on pass something on a ceremonial basis. And I see somebody raise their hand. And there is a push to gather signatures so that based on congressional district, so that when we can get things going again, and by that I mean when the election happens and things look more favorable to our side, we can put pressure on Congress people and say, hey, all of these people in your district signed a petition that says, you know, we want you to support the Equal Rights Amendment, and come out with legislation that says that, ceremonial legislation that says, yes, we agree that the Equal Rights Amendment is the law of the land. And I saw somebody raise their hand.
Me.
Okay.
Sure.
Yes.
Well, first of all, I didn't know any of this was going on. So thank you,
Ah.
thank you, thank you. This is huge for me to pick up on. And then the other is what you mentioned something about watch for this case that's going to go forward. Can you give me that name of it, date again? Because I'd be very
Yes.
interested in following it.
Yes. That's in Massachusetts in federal court. And that's going to be, they're going to have a hearing on the women's suit against the government about the civil selective service. And that's going to be on December 16th. And what I will do is I will put in the chat, I will put the information on where you can go, because you need to sign up to be able to listen to the audio. The Equal Means Equal folks asked, and we were able to persuade the judge to allow the hearings to be shared live, but it's going to be audio only, so you can listen into the arguments. And that's going to happen at 2 o'clock on September 16th.
No,
But you have
December?
to, I'm sorry,
December or September? I've heard
December. Sorry, I
Okay.
misspoke.
December 16th at 2 p.m.
At
Okay.
2 p.m. And you have to sign up for that 2 business days, at least 2 or the first business day before the meeting. And that's where I will send you the link
Okay.
for that info. And I'll put that in the chat.
Thank you. This
You're
is
welcome.
really amazing.
Yes. Yes. And it's really disheartening that the 9th District ruled against it, saying that they didn't think that because it was published that it was valid. And that's very disappointing. And that's one of the things that the folks in Massachusetts are arguing. If you want to read their legal filing, go to equalmeansequal.org, and you can look at what they've, the actual text of their lawsuit and what their arguments are. They've got them posted there. Again, that's equalmeansequal.org.
Thank you very much, Pattie. That was excellent. Are there any other questions or comments about the ERA? Okay. Then we're going to move on, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the AAUW of Michigan Public Policy Principles 2025 to 2027. And I'm going to ask, there they are. Leah's going to pull these up. These are on AAUW of Michigan website. So AAUWMI.org. And on the right-hand side, you can see where it says AAUWMI Public Policy Principles right there. And she's going to pull those up so we can look at them.
Actually,
Now,
Ruth, I think you must still have.
Do you want me to stop sharing?
I did not pull. Oh, is it, Pattie, you're the one who pulled that up? Because I know
Yes.
I didn't. So I can't control it.
Okay, I can stop sharing and I can give it back to Leah, Ruth, if you like.
okay.
All right, I will stop
Or
sharing.
Pattie
It's
can
back
do
to
it. It
you.
doesn't matter, but
Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to go through these fairly quickly just because of our time this morning, and I want to give time for the rest of my committee. Julie and Karlyn and Jan have all prepared materials that they would like to present. So I don't want to spend too much time on this, so I can pass it over to them. But what I want to point out, a couple things. You can pull this up on the website anytime and look at these and read these. The process of how this works is every 2 years in January, we start the process of reviewing these public policy principles. So this is 2025 right now. So that means in January of 2025, And every 2 years beyond, we'll do it again in January of 2027. We will begin the process to review these principles. And the important thing to know about this is that there is a public comment period. And so every single AAUW member has input into this. It isn't just the State Public Policy Committee or the State Board. It's every AAUW member has an opportunity. A comment period opens up in January and it will say, we're reviewing these, please read these. Do you have any comments? And you're allowed to put your input in. And then we go through a process where the State Board works on our State Committee works on these. Then we make a recommendation to the State Board and the State Board passes them and they're good for 2 years. That's what happened this year. And I would like my committee worked very hard on these, rewriting these and bringing them up to date and current to what we wanted. And we worked hard on this all the way into the summer. We were working on this. Into June, we were working on this. Then we made a recommendation to the State Board, and at the August State Board meeting, the State Board passed these, and now they're on the website and they're good for 2 years. So that's how this works. Now, the other couple things, because I don't want to just read these to you, you can read these yourselves, but I'm just trying to point out at the very beginning, and these align with nationals public policy principles also. AAUW is nonpartisan. Now, what we really are looking at here is that we are trying to focus on women and girls, issues that affect women and girls, and how can we make Michigan a better place to live for women and girls. And that's what we're looking at with these. So you're going to scroll down a little bit and see. And it says AAUW of Michigan supports the following principles for action on which AAUW of Michigan branches and their members can choose to focus their advocacy efforts. That's excellent right there. That's what Julie's going to talk about next as soon as I'm finished, which is going to be very soon. So my suggestion to you, if you're not already doing it, is in the summertime when you're setting up your programs for the whole year for your branch, you should be looking at these and at least try to pick one area for your branch that your branch is interested in or would like to focus on, and maybe have one program at least, and try to make the rest of your programs mission-based and around our public policy principles. Okay, so we stand for education, public education, inclusive curriculum, STEM, civil rights and Title IX, and higher education. Higher education for women and girls, because we know that higher education opens doors for women and girls to get better paying jobs. We stand for economic security, pay equity, caregivers, retirement, health, and economic policies, social justice and civil rights, constitutional rights, including the ERA, voting rights, self-determination, harassment, and violence. Does anybody have any questions or comments about these public policy principles? And you'll see that there's a link there to the national ones. These are developed by the state committee in alignment with the national ones. Any questions or comments about this at all?
Ruth, I have a question, but I don't think I can raise my hand while I'm sharing.
Okay.
The national document used to be public policy priorities, and they added the word principles this year. And then it looks like the state committee decided to call them principles and drop the word priorities. So I was just wondering, is there any particular reason for that? Should I read it?
That's an excellent question. That's a very good question. The national and a couple members of my committee can chime in on this that helped write this because they know very well about this. Because they helped to write it. The national reconfigured their document this year, and they changed it, and they divided it into two sections. It's one document, but they divided it and they changed the reconfiguration of their document this year. And so AAUW of Michigan did the same. We talked about this at the state board meeting. We changed our document this year, and you will see this if you compare this to some of our other ones that we've had in the past, and you see how we've made it say, we stand for, and we've changed our document to align with nationals. Now, Julie or Jan, do you have anything to say about? Go ahead.
Well, part of this is Julie Leavitt. Part of our discussion was that we would present the principles that we thought were important for Michigan. But then if you look at it, the third paragraph down says, AAUW of Michigan supports the following principles for action on which AAUW branches and their members can choose to focus their advocacy efforts, so that so each branch can make something their priority, if that makes any sense.
Yes. So, are there any other questions or comments? Does that answer your question, Leah? Does that help answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments about this document?
Well, I noticed that the last thing under civil rights about protection.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a harassment and violence. Really, that we support the right to freedom from violence and fear of violence. So the way it's put here, and I just noted here that it looks like that we stand for harassment and violence, but it's freedom from violence. We better add the word freedom to that.
Yes, that's good. Thanks for pointing that out, Karlyn.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments about this document? Okay, then we're going to move on to Julie Leavitt from the South Haven branch, and she's going to focus. Leah will put up pages 9 and 10 of our playbook. And
Actually, is
Go
there
ahead.
any way to show people how to find the playbook, first of all, using the AAUW site? There it
Yes.
is.
Yep.
This is the home page. So right here.
As you can tell, we're
Okay, and then stop right there too.
Oh.
Don't go to 9 yet, because I wanted to do just the first statement too.
Go ahead, Julie.
Okay, but go back to, I think it's page 3.
Sorry for making you all dizzy.
Okay, so this is actually the beginning of the playbook. It's AAUW's mission. If you read the mission, this is for all of AAUW, is to advance gender equity for women and girls through research, education, and advocacy. And that's what public policy committees are about, is we look for ways that our local chapters can advocate for gender equity for women and girls. The other thing, and this is before I was even in AAUW, I didn't understand what public policy meant. And basically, public policy is legislation that affects people. And so what we are trying to do is somehow let people know what legislation is coming up and how to talk to their legislators and things like that. Okay, so then go ahead and go to page 9. By the way, this whole document has so many good ideas in it. But here at the very end, we have a area called resources, and I wanted to let people know about this. First of all, and I think this is interactive, right? So when you're on the website, you can just, anything that's in blue, you can just click on. Isn't
Yes.
that correct? And it opens up. Okay, so what Ruth was just talking about was the AAUW Michigan Public Policy Priorities 25 to 27. So if you want to get that and copy it off to give to your members, this is the place where you can find it. The second thing down is, actually, I have this in front of me, so I don't have to squint at the. I thought I did. Oh, well. Oh, yeah. The second thing down is how to get in touch with Ruth, which is has both her phone number and her email address. Third one down is connect with the state of Michigan government, and it has lots of good resources there. One thing that in order to do advocacy, you need to be able to know who your representatives are. Okay, so it has a guide to the state government. You can also look up some legislation at the Michigan Legislative website, and also find your legislator and email your legislator there. And the directories, and we even included tips on writing to the legislators, and also info on Gretchen Whitmer. And then we also have connecting with your United States legislators. So so that's our resources that are just on our website. Also, National AUW has a lot of information. And they monitor legislation that's happening in Washington. And it will be good if the coordinators would get on the site and go through some of these services that are provided for us. So there you'll find the National AAUW Public Policy Principles and Priorities. There, and the next one down is 2-minute activists. This is something to urge members to sign up for, and they will get an email if there's some legislation that's going to be happening. And with that email, you can it'll tell you what the legislation is and how to contact your legislator, and gives you some ideas on AUW's policies on that. And so you can write a good letter or email a good letter. Okay. This next one, the AAUW Policy Center, that we can actually access right there, but you can also access it on the main page of AAUW of Michigan. And I found this to be really, really helpful. It has something called Where We Stand, and it has researched up-to-date information on all the different issues. For example, here's one here. It's called Quick Facts on Title IX. There also was one on the ERA, Pattie, but I don't think it's as up-to-date as you were. But when we talk about some of the other things that we can do, this gives us the background knowledge on these different issues. And it's usually they're one page. This one is front and back, and then a half of another page. And as far as these are the subjects, they have equal pay under economic security, equal pay, Paycheck Fairness Act, retirement security, paid leave, workplace harassment, and healthcare. And then where we stand in education, it has one on school debt, school vouchers, STEM education, sexual harassment, and then the one I just showed you, Title IX. And then where we stand for civil rights are voting rights, equal rights amendment, human trafficking, reproductive rights, and LGBTQ rights. So this gives you good information about where the laws are now. So, okay, and then also in the advocacy toolkit, there's things like how to hold a meeting with your elected officials, how to organize a candidate forum, all these different how-tos that are really good. They just added a few things I've noticed. Guidance for public demonstrations. So we actually have some guidance from AAUW of America about what to do during a public demonstration. So anyway, back to page 10. Sorry. Oh, there they all are. Good. Back to page 10, we kind of brainstorm like what does this mean at my branch? Some things that different branches have done is conduct candidate forums, not just for at the state and national level, but you know, your local mayor's race and school board race, and voter registration opportunities. Again, they have to be nonpartisan. And also just composing a voter information letter to be sent to your local high school on how to register to vote. This next one, meet with your local school superintendent and attend school board meetings. This is really, really important, is to have some kind of a link with the school. And there's some, when Ruth was going through the public policy principles, one thing was an inclusive curriculum, inclusive curriculum, support for curricula that is accurate, science-based, and free of censorship or bias, support for comprehensive and medically accurate sexual health education, support of equal and unfettered access to public information, media, and literature. And we all know what's happening now. We've got people that are, you know, asking for books to be banned. Just yesterday or the day before, new health education standards were approved by the state board. But a lot of people have said, oh, my legislature is, you know, making a hornet's nest out of this because it has LGBTQ in it, you know, in this. So we can be there at our school board to support the schools in their decisions. And so that is a really good use of advocacy. Making a list of all of your representatives and their contact information and give it out to your chapter. Most representatives have coffee hours or local office hours, and letting people know in your chapter or in your branch about this, and letting them know about it so they can attend. And when we do attend, we always say, we're a member of AAUW of South Haven, and we have 125 members, you know. So that actually pulls a little bit of weight. The 2-minute activists, write a letter to the editor or an op-ed piece in your local paper. And that's where these quick facts are very helpful, because you can make sure that you have your facts right. Be involved in equal pay day efforts. One thing our local chapter does is we have a rapid responder alert system that if we have knowledge that some legislation is going to be taken to the floor to be voted on, we put all the information about this and let our membership know and how to contact their legislature. So this is something even beyond our public policy committee. This is something our whole branch does, and we so lots of calls are received by our legislatures.
I'm sorry, Julie, let me interrupt. We
Yeah.
lost Leah, and so I've been trying to find the playbook. Where is that on the website,
Yeah.
Ruth?
Oh,
It's on the homepage of the website, down towards the middle or towards the bottom. She has all the playbooks all across the middle of the
Yeah.
screen. And
but and I am almost done. So I didn't I saw movement, but yeah,
Scroll
keep
down.
going down.
Yeah, there they
Right
are.
there.
See?
Public policy. Thank you. There we go.
Yeah,
There
thank
we
you.
go. I'm sorry, what
Okay.
what page are we on, Julie?
We're on 11.
Thank you.
And someone put a question in the chat box.
Okay.
Julie,
Yeah, see, and I don't have access to any of that, so you're gonna have to read that to me.
someone put in the chat box, where are the quick facts located again?
Okay. So if you could scroll back on, okay, keep going. See, oh, now you passed it. So it's on the top of page 10. The AAUW Policy Center, where we stand. You click on that.
That takes you to national.
Right. And then go down where we stand. Okay, and then keep going. Here we go. And all of these, download the quick facts. Equal pay, download the quick facts.
Thank you.
Since you're there though,
Yeah.
scroll back up for a second. This
Okay.
is something I didn't know existed. AUW weighs in on no, go back down a little. Sorry. The very first big box, AUW weighs in policy updates. Click on
Okay.
that. We keep thinking, oh, most of our dues go to, national. This is all that they're doing. They're sending these letters and legal briefs and testimony. So
They're
it makes
very
me
well written,
really,
very
really
well done.
proud of
And,
what
you
they're
can take
doing.
information from there for your letter to the editor.
Right. And this would be even, more accurate or more up to date. So anyway, just the other couple of things, these were ideas from, other chapters. Attend your local library and other commission meetings. Meet with local election clerks. We have done that a couple times, and consider collaborating with groups like League of Women Voters, NAACP, that different, advocacy groups that are out there. So any questions? And I'm not going to be able to see if, because I can see Karlyn right now, but
Jan has her hand raised.
I just have a comment that yesterday I was looking at the website, and this is under, the advocacy toolkit, and talking about public demonstrations. And I think some of us were under the assumption that we could not represent AAUW at all. But what this document says is that we can bring your AAUW pride for nonpartisan demonstrations that are aligned with AAUW's mission, values, and public policy principles. You're encouraged to show your affiliation through signs, shirts, or buttons. And an example would have been the King demonstrations.
The
what
All
were-
Kings demonstration.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were
And
two-
AAUW is part of Unite and Rise. That we go along with the League of Women Voters and other groups.
right.
The thing is that your messaging on your sign needs to be nonpartisan, but it can address the issues that the
Right. And also say AAUW.
Yes.
I thought that was significant because I guess I really didn't know that. But anyway, so I just wanted to point that out and where it was.
Very good. Thank you, Jan. Any questions or comments for Julie? That was really, really good, Julie. That was excellent. It was a very good overview. There was
Thank you.
one question in the chat and I answered it. So,
Okay.
are there any other questions or comments for Julie? Very good. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
So we're going to move on now to Karlyn.
Yes, I think that we're living in a nightmare, and we have seen AUW priorities and policies put at such risk, and the hard-won gains that we have fought so many years for in a couple of months have been turned around. But something that was on the November 4th election gave a lot of people hope. And I would like to know from your point of view, what it was that you feel made a difference in that election. Can you, can members of this group weigh in and tell me what you think we did that made a difference in turning the November 4th election around? I'm sorry, Matt. Okay.
Karlyn, maybe since this is a conversation, I don't know if this is kosher or not, but if everyone unmute, so
Yes.
we can,
Right.
that,
I
and so
mean,
it's
we're
more like a
supposed to have
conversation.
conversation. I would like to have a conversation now. So please unmute yourselves and weigh in. What do you think made a difference, and what should we do going forward to make a difference? To bring this country back to values that were such of long standing in our nation. Can you, what do you think?
Well, obviously, I think
Individuals could
what
do.
made a difference is that we won some significant elections. And
I'm sorry, you're frozen,
but,
Jan. Yeah.
I'm frozen? No.
Now you're all right.
It says my internet connection is unstable, as am I this morning, but anyways, and remember, it's an hour earlier for me, so you guys really have to converse.
I'm with you.
But I guess to me, moving forward, I think we really have to be armed with facts, because people don't think, for example, that, equal pay, it's gotten worse instead of better in the last 2 years. And you can get depressed over that, and certainly we do. But I think if you really have facts, because a lot of people just don't believe these things, to me. So that's why I love the quick facts and those things.
I had just traveling down to Chicago, my seatmate was reading the Bible section on Kings, and I was reading Surviving Autocracy, by Masha Gessen. And I asked her if she thought that the country was in chaos. And she said yes. she told me that she was the mother of 7 children, the youngest of which was graduating from high school. And she was about to visit her parents. She said that when her grandfather returned from the war, he was he had amputee, and the community gathered around to help provide the things that he needed. And then in kind, her grandmother gave back to the community through the years. And she felt that the values of helping each other, but also that there were times when government has to step in. For example, her children were having difficulty getting affordable housing, and to have children going hungry, that this is the time for government to set in, and that she was upset about her perception of the meanness of some of the cuts, the budgetary cuts.
Mhm.
But the other thing, she said what gave her hope, and there had been a news presentation about this project that I had been working on. Planned Parenthood in Marquette closed because of the lack of Medicaid funding. And the news the night before we left, they had done an update on this project where the community had come together to try to provide the services that Planned Parenthood provided to the community. And she said, this mother of 7 said people have to have choices and options. And that there are times, and she said they have a right to speak out. I mean, it just brought tears to my eyes. It was such an unexpected source. And I think that we need to touch base with people and just talk to them about what's happening in our country and what they think our next steps should be. So I'm asking, what are the next steps? Maybe it is having conversations as we're having today. But do you have any other ideas? There have been so many that have been floated around by Julie and Pattie. Where do we go from here? We can't give up.
I would like to say that 2 things. One, I think that Karlyn is very correct in what she's saying about personal contact and having conversations. That's the starting point. But also, I think women in elected office on all levels, women need to be at the table when decisions are being made. I was a council person in Hillsdale. I've been a county commissioner in Hillsdale. We've had many women in AAUW that have been state representatives and on school boards and all kinds of other things. It's very, very important. It's very different when you have a board of all men who are making decisions, because they don't think about women's issues. That's not on their radar. There needs to be a woman on that board that will speak up and that will fight for women's issues and make a difference when decisions are being made. So please consider running for your local school board or township board or council or commissioner or whatever it is, because we need more women in elected office. It's very hard. It's not easy. I had a lot of rough days. It's not a path that a lot of women choose. And I understand that, but certainly, please consider it and please support women candidates that are running for office. Thank you.
Ruth, Josetta has her hand up.
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, I just want to reiterate what Ruth said is just so important. First of all, though, I am going to add to make sure you know what that woman candidate is standing for, because we also have women candidates who are not supportive of the things that we talk about.
Mhm.
And that's been the big problem in some ways. But anyways, the other thing is also what Karlyn was saying about conversations with people, stories of how these things are, and they are starting to come out more. But the legislation that's going on, it's happened so fast and so quickly, and how that's affecting people. And we can I have found out and be very factual, know what you're talking about after you've had a story, to be able to add in those consequences of what's happening to people. Because just talking about it isn't enough. People get frustrated, and then you get into that whole category. That's not where you want to go. You want to start with the story and then talk about how it affects people and how it can change. There's just I'm just overwhelmed with how little people really know about what's happening, because it's happening so fast.
Mhm.
It's impossible for any of us to keep track of all the things that are happening. So that's even more why we even have to talk about in our own branch, not even just, but whoever it is that we're happen to be with. Um, and I just wanted to say that the story that Caitlin told about her partner, the person that was riding in the car with her, very, very,
On the
very.
plane, she was, let's see, there's a seat next to me on the plane. Yeah.
Oh, on the plane,
Yeah.
yes, even more so then, yes.
Yeah.
Very surprising. And I would have sitting there thought the same thing, because which is very interesting, she was reading a Bible. But I belong to another group, and they are doing so much about the time women's group. It's a women's group. It's actually a nuns group, and talking about and not talking about revealing how important women were in the time of Jesus, how important they were, and how much they did. And that again is history that's been lost, like the history in our United States and everywhere about how
Mhm.
the things that women have done. Very interesting and good information to have. So this is for me, learning all the things that I'm hearing, and I think that I really know a lot and keep track of things. This meeting has been so worth my time.
Well,
And it took a
Thank
lot
you.
for me to
Thank
get
you.
here today and to say, I'm going to take this hour. I said to my husband, I'm sorry, I just want to go. This is a group that usually I learn so much from. I love so many new people that I don't even know who they are, because I'm a caretaker with him. And so I don't get out as much as I used to. So I want to say thank you for having these. And even more than that, that they're recorded. So now I can say to my branch members, this is what you need to go and listen to, because of all the things that are here, rather than me trying to explain these things. So thank you.
Thank you so much. There is a comment
Oh.
in the chat box from Leslie Herrick in Dearborn. Dearborn, Michigan just elected the first all-male city council in decades. And then someone replied, "Oh no." And then another question in the chat box from Vicky Craig. Deep canvassing is a concept I'm trying to learn more about. Can AAUW give some training?
What is it called? Deep?
Deep
I-
canvassing.
I don't know what that is.
I think it's going door to door and having.
Oh, okay. I've done that before, but it
Yeah, me too.
it wasn't under the auspices of AAUW, because I was supporting a candidate, and you
Right.
can't support a candidate. So I want to give a little plug, and I had this in my notes and I forgot to say it. So if you're not already on Facebook, and if you are on Facebook, AUW does have a Facebook page, and Leah is the one that puts information out, and so it's very helpful to she helps us to stay on top of things. And so I highly recommend the AAUW of Michigan Facebook page. So you get that if you're on Facebook.
We
Deep
also,
canvassing is not supporting a particular candidate. Rather, it's about having conversations with people that we do not agree with necessarily, and how can we have those conversations? And I think that's a wonderful idea that our committee perhaps should look into. But I think also AAUW has a wonderful, I wish I could, frankly, for me, their website is very confusing, and I find something once and then I can't find it again. But I know, because I actually was on the national committee, there is a statement on civility. And I think that really also aligns with deep canvassing, because how do you have those conversations? You have to be civil. And frankly, the reason we developed it was because you would not believe some of the comments that AAUW members make to National Connect in particular. They are so rude and so mean. And so that's why this particular document was developed. I know I'm not supposed to talk, or I'm the last one, and Julie really did most of my stuff. But I think one thing that you really need to take away too is that as branches, like my branch is very small, and then we have huge branches, and really this looks different in each branch, and you have to decide. But a public policy chairperson or director can't do this by themselves. Either they need to have a committee, and let's look at what we're going to focus on. There's lots of great ideas in the playbook that we didn't go over, but please consult with that. But then there's other branches where it's going to be the whole branch, like mine. We do one of the quick facts at each meeting to, just so our members become informed. So I don't want to take more time than that, but please look at.
I just want to thank people who were involved in the conversation for pointing out that we can't, that the deep canvassing is often talked about with going door to door for candidates, but that is not something that AAUW can do, because we're nonpartisan. And I think like the League of Women Voters, but we can have conversations on issues. And if that's, part of the concept of AAUW's deep canvassing, then we'll have to learn techniques to start conversation.
There are about 3 comments in the chat box that people have been putting in about deep canvassing and what it means. Diana Mente put, you can't canvass in the name of AAUW for a candidate, but you can as an individual. And then Mary Jo from Dearborn put a chat in there also. And I just lost it. I had it in front of me and now it's gone, so I'm sorry. But you can read the chat box.
It's a structured interview that uses long empathic conversations with the intention of shifting participants' beliefs. It's an effective way to change political beliefs. If you just do deep canvas, do a search, it pulls the Deep Canvas Institute up.
Thank you, Jan.
So what I'm getting from this, the deep canvassing is more on issues, not candidates. And that is something we can do.
Right,
It is,
right.
and
It's
it's really
non-partisan.
about
Yeah,
how to have those conversations.
yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah,
Lady-
so it even says on our public policy principles, AAUW is nonpartisan but not values neutral.
Yeah.
We can talk about issues. So I've never heard of deep canvassing, and I'm going to look into it.
Like what?
Lady, we are at the 10 o'clock hour, and in respect to everybody's time, we're not going to hold you over today. But I think that today's conversation has been a very good starting point for us to further this discussion at a later date. And I want to thank each members of my committee and Leah for being on, and everybody who got on this morning. You have our contact information, and you can contact us by email or text or phone anytime for questions, comments, discussion, and we can continue this at another date. Thank you so much, and I hope everybody enjoys the rest of your day and the rest of your weekend. And please keep fighting. Don't ever give up for women's rights and for women in Michigan. Thank you so much, and I hope everybody has a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Al, thanks for
Bye.
coming.